Hello and welcome back to the Spirit of Watercolor with Linda. And welcome new subscribers and welcome subscribers that have been with me all along. And we're here to do another video, a painting. The Spirit of Watercolor, as those of you who know me, we use watercolor as a means of expressing ourselves, enriching our lives. And it's a spiritual journey, I always say, right? And because watercolors are very spiritual in nature, we're using pigments of the earth and we're creating and we're connecting with the Creator, right? So today, as we've been doing, we've been learning watercolor tips, tricks, and techniques as we go, and then combining them into beautiful paintings, right? And the last few I've done, I think people really liked, and I might kind of show you quickly what we've done. We've done some meditative paintings, and so check those out. You know, go back to the videos about meditative watercolors. And because, you know, the times are not so at ease in our world, are they? And there's a lot of things to be worried about, not just our own personal things, you know, family and friends and our own health. And there's things that, you know, our lives are up and down, aren't they? But we need to put joy into them. So recently, too, we've done some cards. And this is, I'm showing you this because we're going to use this kind of paper. It's a handmade paper. And I glued it onto just a 5x7 card. But these handmade papers are by Wanderings, which is a brand that you can order off Amazon. I'm really not sure if you can pick it up anywhere else, but it's a really nice paper, and that size is 4x6 inches. We're going to go to this larger size of 9x12 inches, and I'm quite excited to show you what we're going to be painting today. And so we're going to be doing this little, it's like Asian flowers. I have a little book about Asian, you know, flowers and how to arrange them, and I'll use it from time to time. It's kind of simple, but it's also quite beautiful. You won't need a lot of colors in this. Won't need to take a lot of time to create something beautiful. The nice thing too about this paper is it has a deckled edge, okay? And this deckled edge makes it really easy to frame because you don't need a cut mat. You can just basically, you know, tape or glue it onto, you know, the backboard like this, okay? And then, you know, pop it in a frame with glass or plexiglass. So I thought this would be another piece that would be meditative for us, okay? I think we need these things that create this sense of calm and serenity. I'll play some serene music. You can play your own serene music and just follow along with me. We'll do a sketch. I'll show you a quick sketch of this. So please join me, and we'll be doing some precision brushwork, and we'll be doing some wet on wet like down there. I'm really glad you're here. Don't forget to like and subscribe when you see what you like here, and keep on growing and learning the spirit of watercolor with me. So this is the painting that I showed you that's finished, and this is what we're going to do. I drew the lines just like a simple line here instead of getting all detailed, you know, just so I can bring the brush up and do the stems and the leaves with some beautiful Daniel Smith greens, probably, maybe Sennelier. You can use whatever paint colors you like. My flowers this time, I like the red. It's almost like the cherry blossom kind of thing. I may go with the purple this time because I like to change them up, and they might be two paintings you could put together. So let's start painting. Okay. So here I'm using my green gold and sap green and sometimes deep sap green, but I start with the lightest green, the green gold, and you can use a light yellow gold or mix yellow with your green, and then just coming up with the initial lines for the stem and some of the leaves here. And then, I make it a little wider at the bottom and I add in some of the darker color. And it's like a thin, line or lines here, but I'm bringing into the wet paint a wet on wet where I add the darker green for sort of shadow on the side, kind of giving those stems a round shape. I like the wet into wet there because the deep green, the deep sap green it does this blending like a bleeding, which is what I love about watercolor, how they kind of blend into each other, very natural and free. And so I just like how relaxing it is and how green in the winter is helpful, to our spirit, just green is a color of life. And so let's just enjoy, the music and just painting these stems and leaves together. And then in due course, we'll get to the flowers. I remember once my sister and I were talking about painting and how it's a form of meditation in itself. And it can be. I mean, you could do flowing water, the color blue. Like I said, green. Green has a bit of life and liveliness to it. In the winter, I feel like I need that more. And, in the summer days, sometimes the warm colors, versus these cool ones, can be more calming to the spirit. I am varying the shades of green. Sometimes I use the lighter green and sometimes the darker. And the more deep and rich the colors, the more they come forward, and the softer ones, the softer amount of value in the color will set them back further in space. Even at this close up of a painting, you can get some perspective in it. And remember, I'm using really rough paper, so you may see that, hard edges and perfect lines are hard to achieve, but that's not the goal with this kind of paper. We get a more impressionist look with rough and bumpy paper. Now we are adding those purple flowers, and I used 2 colors to make these just because I used Carbazzo violet, which is a really blue violet, and it didn't come out as vibrant as I wanted, and so I grabbed some of the magenta that I love. It's a quinacridone magenta. These are all Daniel Smith colors I use right now, but anyway, I would dab in some of the with my little small brush there, and sometimes the bamboo brush I liked because it had a softer feel for the petals. I would pull that out and add in some of the quinacridone magenta I just drip it into, little dabs into the purple flowers, and it added a little more interest to them and a little more of a pretty color. And with the book I have on flower arranging, Asian flowers, they talk about asymmetry, which is, you don't want this, both sides of this to look identical. So maybe put 1 flower on one stem on one side and 2 on the other, and then 3 on another, so that it's more random, like nature, right? And even the leaves, I have 1 leaf is going up and 1 is going down, just for interest's sake as well in your painting. And flower arranging also is an art, isn't it? So of course they want that to be, doing what we're doing in our painting with the real flowers. And then finally we're putting in some grasses down in the bottom, and I've wet the paper, and I do this wet on wet ground where it just kind of flows and gives us some gravity to the painting, so the flowers aren't just floating in space. And there you go. I really hope that you enjoyed doing this painting with me and found some serenity in your day and in your lives. And yes, there's many things we can do to enrich our lives and make them more peaceful and joyful. So I hope you'll keep coming back. Let me know if you like these videos and if you'd like more of them that are in meditative in spirit. And I'll see you soon in the next Spirit of Watercolor video. Bye for now.